it's Jami Ray with Jami Ray Vintage. For today's DIY, we're going to show you how to take this traditional hutch and turn it into something a little more farm country. We're going to show you start to finish how we will redo the paint job as well as add some chicken wire and a new planked back. Okay guys, so to get started we're going to remove all the hardware so we can spray paint that later. We're also going to be removing the glass out of it so that way we can put the chicken wire in and give it a little bit more of a country look. We're sanding it with an 80 grit sandpaper, just going over lightly, removing any of the shiny parts, not all the way down. It's not actual wood, so you don't want to go too far. But you want to take the shine off. Next, Zeb is going to be doing a dry fit for all the boards that are going to be going in the back. We like to tag team, so he usually will spray while I work on doing the faux finish. It's important to measure twice and cut once. So he's going to figure out how many boards he needs, and then we just use our saw and make the cut. After you make the cuts, you want to go ahead and give it a light sand with your sandpaper that you can use a rotary or a hand sander. We like to use our planer. We know not everybody has one. It makes light work of getting it all the way smooth and ready for the finish. Next, we're going to go ahead and prime the entire piece with primer. That way we got a nice even coverage and make sure the paint sticks really well. We're doing a light color, so priming also means that we wind up using less chalk paint. It saves us money in the long run, and make sure that the paint adheres really well and has a nice long line. So while he's doing that, I got started on the faux finish. I'm going to be using an oil-based stain. It's Min Wax and Dark Walnut. And I'm just putting it on nice and even, making sure there's not any excess. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to get it on there even. After that's dry, you're going to go ahead and put your gray wash in, which is about 90% water, 10% paint. And I just put it on with a damp rag and rub it in until it's nice and even. You don't want any streaks, you just want it to look nice and aged. It takes a few hours for that to dry, then you're ready to dry brush. I use Fairy Chalk Mother in Ivory, and I wipe most of it off on the drop rag, as you can see me doing there. And then I just lightly go over and get some streaky strokes on there, just making it look a little bit more aged and adding some depth, making it look like actual barnwood. Once that's all finished, we went ahead and sprayed the hardware in oil rubbed bronze. Make sure your hardware is nice and clean, and then just spray, and it takes a few hours to dry. Now we're ready for chalk paint. We're using Fairy Chalk Mother in Ivory. You can get that at jamirayvintage.com. It's nice because it adheres really well and is a long-lasting finish. You can see that Zeb's adding the back on. He's using an air compressed staple gun. If you don't have that, nails and a hammer will work just fine. And he's just going ahead and putting it all along the back. Now you see it's all finished. It looks amazing. It's a great contrast with that ivory color. It's really starting to look like a farm hutch. The next step is to distress the edges. We're just using our sanding block. If you wanted to get really chippy, you could use a rotary sander. This piece was not actual wood, so I wouldn't suggest using a rotary sander because if you get through that finish to the MDF, it doesn't look too good. So doing it by hand ensures you get the look that you want. Zeb's spraying on our final coats, which is our polyacrylic. It's a water base. We like to use satin. It takes a few hours in between, and we use 3 coats. Now he's measuring and putting in beadboard for the shelves. Originally it had glass and my customer wanted a little bit more country look. So we put that on there and we're ready for our hardware. The hardware makes it look so much better. It doesn't even look like the ugly gold crap that was on there from the beginning. Now he's putting everything back together and we're going to be ready for one of our last steps, which is putting the chicken wire in. To get started with that, he measures and makes sure that everything works. In fact, right now he's actually putting the shelves in. Sorry. He's putting the shelves in because they come out. This one's adjustable. Most are usually stationary. But we put the beadboard in after he gets the shelves in, and we're not stapling or gluing it down because the customer wanted to also be able to alternate back her glass. But if you wanted it to not move, you could just staple it in so it stays in there forever. Now he's measuring to put the chicken wire in. We have a whole video on chicken wire and hardware cloth installation. I'll have him put the link below, but it's pretty simple. You just want to measure and then use your metal snips, and you're going to go ahead and snip the measurements that you just took, and then once you get the right shape, then you're ready to staple it on. We're using an air compressed staple gun and just going over the little tips of the metal parts that we cut. You could also use a handheld staple gun, that would work. Make sure your staples aren't too long, you don't want to blow out the other side. And then patiently staple along each side and down the bottom, making it as taut as possible. Alright guys, our farm hutch transformation is complete. A little chicken wire and some faux barnwood, and we took this traditional hutch and turned it into a piece that's sure to make my customer happy. I hope it inspires you to take your furniture and turn it into a design that fits your home and your lifestyle. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Jami Ray Vintage for more DIY.